I've watched a lot of movies in my life. Some good, some bad, and some amazing. But I think Alvin and the Chipmunks takes the cake for having the weirdest idea for a movie I've ever seen. The idea of making a movie about 3 talking chipmunks that also sing pop songs is the most insane idea I've ever heard. But it turns out the idea for Alvin and the Chipmunks did not actually come from the movie, but rather from Ross Bagdasarian in 1958. And an actual song by Alvin and the Chipmunks was a #1 single in the United States. But this video isn't about these chipmunks, it's about these. So, without further ado, let's watch Alvin and the Chipmunks and see just how crazy a movie about 3 chipmunks singing pop songs really is. Alvin and the Chipmunks begins with an opening shot where we're introduced to the characters. They're gathering nuts for the winter when the tree they're on gets cut down and they're moved all the way to the city. We then cut to this man named Dave Seville who's late for work. He runs into an ex and basically just forces them to meet by just saying, "Dinner, my place."
Tomorrow night, my place. Great!
No.
The tree that the chipmunks were in ended up being used as a Christmas tree in the lobby of a record label, and at the same time, Dave is pitching a song to this man named Ian.
There was a spider outside my room. I'm scared. It was scary and really big. Its legs are like really long. I can't get out of my room. 'Cause there's a spider that just doesn't wanna go soon. I'm so scared of this spider. Holy shit, it's getting closer. Oh god, it's higher. Wow.
Let's talk about your song, Dave.
Well, as crazy as it sounds, the original inspiration came to me.
Song sucks, Dave.
What?
Your song? It's awful.
Dave didn't get the job, so he just steals a basket of muffins, cause, cope. The chipmunks get out of the tree and jump into David's basket, and when David gets home, he just immediately throws away the basket of muffins. Like, what a waste of food! And then he throws out a bunch of expensive and working music equipment. David finds the chipmunks and they murder him. David wakes up and finds out that the chipmunks can talk, and they introduce themselves. This is Simon, the smart one. This is Theodore. And this is Alvin, the based guy. David throws them out, but then the chipmunks sing, and David just lets them right back in.
All right, here's the deal. You guys sing my songs, you get to sleep here. But don't tell your animal friends because I don't want to come home and find a bunch of rabbits and skunks on my couch.
Filthy creatures, Dave. Never associate with them.
Since David has chipmunks that can sing, he gets the music gear back inside and they all go to sleep. But while David is in bed, he gets an idea for a song and stays up all night making it. The next morning, David wakes up to the chipmunks burning waffles. The waffles pop into the air and Simon attempts to catch it, but it seems like his eyesight just fucking sucks. So David takes these glasses off of the Santa Claus decoration and it somehow miraculously is the perfect prescription for Simon. David and the chipmunks rehearse the song and the chipmunks harmonize like way too much. Like you can't even tell what the main melody is. And then David brings the chipmunks to Ian, but when they get there, the chipmunks just stand there in fear as if they're getting cancelled on Twitter. But the weird thing is, they were so comfortable and okay with singing outside at night for David, but couldn't even make a sound when there was just one other guy there. David then goes to work and gets fired because the chipmunks drew on his boards.
When I first saw these numbers, I thought, there's just no way. But then I looked again.
Then he goes home and confronts them about getting fired. Simon eats some shit, and then Dave realizes that he's meeting with his ex in 30 minutes. The dinner gets absolutely ruined by the chipmunks, so now the chipmunks have officially ruined Dave's life. Due to just how awful his life's gotten because of these fucking chipmunks, Dave writes a letter telling him he doesn't want them. But when he goes out of his room, he finds the chipmunks gone. But it turns out that the chipmunks just went to Ian's house to get a record deal. Although I have no idea how the hell they found out where Ian lived. Like, how did they do that? Who doxed Ian? David and the chipmunks are in the grocery store when they hear the chipmunks on the speakers and we find out that the chipmunks got the record deal. The chipmunks are now incredibly famous and are at the top of the charts. But I don't get why. It's a Nightcore Christmas song. Who the fuck wants to bump that in their car? Theodore had a nightmare, so he sleeps with Dave, and it's a really cute moment, and when they all wake up, Theodore calls Dave Dad, which he is actually starting to become. There are two stories happening simultaneously in this movie, and one of them is basically the story of a father and his adopted chipmunks becoming a family. It first starts off rocky with the chipmunks misbehaving, and it seems really difficult to take care of them, so much so that Dave contemplates unadopting them, but then after some time, the chipmunks learn to behave a bit, and we get to see the more meaningful part of parenthood. Like Theodore sleeping in Dave's bed because he had a nightmare. Basically, the point of the first movie is for the chipmunks to become Dave's children and for them to become this family. But during Christmas, Dave says he isn't their dad and says they're just friends. Dave's Christmas gift to them is saving bonds, which is a terrible gift for children and especially for chipmunks, but then Ian comes in to give the chipmunks way more and way better gifts. The chipmunks do a show and Ian shows Dave a prototype of an Alvin doll and Dave doesn't like it, but I fucking love that thing. I want that doll and I want it to say,
See? You love it. It's Spanish.
Ian goes up to the chipmunks and just flat out lies to them and tells them that Dave calls them the rats behind their back. Which, by the way, is not an insult. I mean, look at these guys.
Rats, we're rats, we're the rats.
These guys are cool as fuck. The chipmunks are getting spoiled like crazy by Ian, so Dave confronts them, but then he fucks up and says,
Well, if you love Uncle Ian so much and you don't think I'm watching out for you, why don't you go live with Uncle Ian?
and while Dave is asleep, Theodore finds the note Dave wrote before. So, they move in with Ian. The chipmunks get whatever they want, but Ian is just the textbook definition of a neglectful father. And then they go on a 5-day tour on the East Coast, but it seems like they're not getting any sleep at all. And that brings me to what the second story of Alvin and the Chipmunks is. Child stardom and overworking. Ian is just spoiling them so they get whatever they want, but then he makes them work like crazy. Basically just exploiting them for money while manipulating them with all the toys they could ever need, and when Dave wants to talk to the chipmunks, Ian just says, no. And then tells them that Dave was invited to come see them, but declined the offer. Dave is shaving in the bathroom and sees on the TV that's in the bathroom where the chipmunks are going to be doing their next show, and he decides he's going. During the show, Dave gets in, and when the chipmunks see that Dave is there, they just strip. They basically just ruin the whole show to get back at Ian for overworking them, but then Ian traps them on stage and makes security get them. Ian puts them in a cage, and it seems like all hope is lost. Ian has the chipmunks, so Dave runs to his car to follow them, and it seems like an exciting car chase is about to start. But then the chipmunks are just in Dave's car, because they're talking chipmunks. They could just get out of the cage easily. Yup, it ends that abruptly. And that is the end of Alvin and Chipmunks. I think it's an alright movie. It's just that, the singing to me is, cringe. It's weird, like when they sing slow songs, it's fine. But as soon as they do pop songs, I just... Also, the acting was just kind of off sometimes.
Alvin!
And also, in the later movies, Dave's ex doesn't even fucking appear, so that entire love story was fucking pointless. But with all that being said, I think the movie is fine. If you're under 13, you'll probably like it. And I mean, if you're over 13, you could also like it. And that's about it. Alvin and the Chipmunks 1 is fine. It's very flawed, but it's more watchable than Katie the Ugly Caterpillar. Which, actually, is not saying a lot. I might watch the rest of the Alvin and the Chipmunks movies in the future, but for now, I hope you enjoyed. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing. Only 0.001% of the population is subscribed, so if you do so, I will appreciate it. I also have a Patreon, by the way, if you'd like to support me. For $5, you can feed the goose and you'll get your name in the credits, sneak peeks of videos, and early access to videos, including the full version of the Spider Stuck song that Ian said fucking sucks. No pressure to do so though, because just watching my videos is already more than enough. Thank you, and goodbye.